buzzword and product has taken the world by storm. And what is that word and product? Well, ChatGPT. Well, what is ChatGPT? ChatGPT is a chatbot developed by Elon Musk-linked OpenAI. That's an artificial intelligence and research company launched in November 2022. We look at how artificial intelligence is changing the lives of individuals and how businesses are looking to leverage the new technologies. Is AI here to take over our lives? I think all of you know about the Terminator. Ishe Makambira, Gateway Stream Technical Services Manager, joins us today on Limit to discuss all things AI. Gold Star Sugar's Harare refinery, a subsidiary of Star Africa, with effect from Monday, the 13th of February, has temporarily closed its Harare refinery operations due to a price hike of raw sugar by suppliers. In a statement released yesterday, the company's commercial executive, Reversi Guenamo, says this development is making it difficult for the company to produce and sell refined sugar at a competitive and viable price. So, will Zimbabwe face sugar shortages, or is a sugar price hike already happened? Now then, the owner of a huge South African rhino conservation farm, the world's largest, said it will be sold at auction in April because it can no longer afford to breed the endangered animals. And the Democratic Republic of Congo is on track to become the world's leading supplier of metals for the green energy transition, which means that new exploration for metals such as nickel and chrome will begin. According to DRC President Felix Tshisekedi, exploration for these two minerals will begin in the next few days in the Kasai region in the country's south. And as usual here on The Mint, we'll have a look at our daily market prices. Don't go away, The Mint. We'll be right back. Welcome back, you're watching The Mint, and this is ZTN Prime. Now, a new buzzword and product has taken the world by storm, and I really mean that. And what is that word and product? Well, it's called ChatGPT. Well, what is that? Well, it's a chatbot developed by Elon Musk-linked OpenAI, an artificial intelligence and research company, which was launched only in November 2022. Now, ChatGPT is a natural language processing tool driven by AI technology. Don't worry, it may sound complicated, but I have a guest here who's going to explain it all. Now, this allows you to have human-like conversations and much more with a chat bot. The language model can answer questions and assist you with tasks such as composing emails, essays, and even code. In fact, some say it can even do your homework, but please don't let it do that. Now, chatbots like GPT are powered by large amounts of data and computing techniques to make predictions, to string words together in a meaningful way. They not only tap into a vast amount of vocabulary and information, but also understand words in context. This helps them mimic speech patterns while dispatching an encyclopedic knowledge. Tech companies like Google and Meta have themselves developed their own chatbots and their own large language model tools. Today on The Mint, we look at how artificial intelligence is changing the lives of individuals and businesses. And to help me do that, of course, I'm joined by Ishe Makambira, the Gateway Stream Technical Services Manager. Ishe, welcome to The Mint.
Hi, Andy, and thank you for having me.
Now, Ishe, you know, I tell you, when people talk artificial intelligence and all this kind of stuff, as I said earlier, it's almost like I just see Arnold Schwarzenegger and the Terminator and the world being taken over by robots. And you know what I mean? It can be quite scary. But
it is.
But let's talk about layman's terms. What exactly is artificial intelligence? Right. And why is there so much noise about this ChatGPT?
All right, great. Thank you, Andy, for giving me the opportunity. I think, first of all, what artificial intelligence is, it's a computer mimicking a human. That's the simplest way I can put it. So there's a test that was developed in 1950 by a guy called Alan Turing, who was a computer scientist. So basically, he developed a method to see if a computer can fool someone into thinking it's a human when you interact with it. So when you talk to someone, like I'm talking to you, you know, there's emotion in it. You know, I can respond based on I'm seeing you responding to it.
Right.
So when we talk about artificial intelligence, now it's a computer actually being able to give you information based on how you've asked the question, and also even suggestive information more on terms of that subject around. So the hype and the buzz around ChatGPT,
yeah, exactly,
is that ChatGPT turns this into almost like you're talking to someone through a chat platform. So you get in there and you're like, what's the weather like tomorrow? And then it will actually tell you tomorrow. I know platforms like Siri have been doing this before, but this level now, actually allows you to even ask further questions without referencing the first point.
So you would you say this is a breakthrough?
Exactly. It's been in the pipeline. It's been in the pipeline, and I think there are other forms of AI which we already use. So you look at Facebook, that recommendation engine of people you might know. That's AI powering that. Even your predictive text on WhatsApp. There are certain words that you write, and then you keep writing them.
Let's bring it closer to your home, if I can call it that, gateway stream, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm told with research, you actually already use AI. And what is gateway stream and what do you use AI for?
Yeah, so Gateway Stream is an online booking platform for anything travel and tourism related, and also have a media streaming platform. So for your music and your content, you can stream it through Gateway Stream. So we use recommendation engines. So when you select a song, want to give you more songs either from that artist or the same genre. So, it recommends that, okay, so your playlist will be different from my playlist. Even my interface will be different because of the things that we like.
So it picks up what I've liked and then give me recommendations using AI.
Exactly.
Well, this AI. Now, Ishe, are we ready for AI? I mean, considering we're still grappling here, I mean, I don't know how to put this. I mean, obviously we have ZESA issues, we've got water issues, we've got connectivity concerns. Obviously the internet costs and data costs are high. I mean, but AI isn't really about that, is it? I mean, in terms of those funny costs.
It's not about that. And I think you asked the question earlier on is why the hype around this? I think the hype around it is you find that it's going to change how we get information and how we look for information. So you see it's going to be easier to get this information. So one funny thing that you notice is you could ask people to look for information on Google or any search platform and they'll come up with different kinds of information. Like it's how you ask the information.
Right.
So ChatGPT on platforms like that are making it easy now. So it's almost like a conversation, like how I would ask a friend of mine, how I would ask my boss, how do you want me to do this report? It can pull information from anywhere in the world. So there's been stories of congressmen who've actually had their speeches written by
but let's open up a little bit. I mean, doesn't that open up the world to deep fakes? I mean, because deep fakes is a big problem. Because now you can have Andy like this with a chatbot and AI, and it looks like Andy's talking or making a statement, or even politicians or famous people. I mean, it's a big problem.
It does, and I think that's also the thing with the advancement of technology. So for every positive, there are also negatives that come with it. So you look at, for example, plastic money. It's also come up with people cloning cards and, online fraud. So ChatGPT, the same thing, deep fakes are also going to be an issue. I might come up and say something and I've actually not said it, but someone who has my picture, we've been using this video, could actually be recording the video and then
I don't know to be scared or related. I mean, you know what I mean? Because it's quite sounds quite say, okay, what does this mean? Let's take it down to Zimbabwean, Zimbabwean base. What does it mean for digital technologies here in Zimbabwe?
So for Zimbabwe, I think the challenge is we'll always have a spillover of that technology here. For businesses, they can actually start taking advantage of it. So for instance, like I mentioned in Gateway Stream, it helps a business to give better customer service. You can know what your customer likes and you can prepare it for them. So for hotels, for instance, they know their customer profiles. If I'm a business traveler, when I get in the room, news that I'm gonna get on my terminal is going to be business news. So it enhances my stay. I prefer going to that hotel because of that technology. So for individual as well, it requires upskilling. I think there are also people who need to upskill. There's always that question of...
before I get to that, I want to talk about Gateway Stream for a minute, because that's interesting. So if you're booking a hotel room, it can say Andy likes a double bed, he likes this, he likes that type of meal, he likes this at breakfast, he likes that coffee, so that you can then you sort of put together something for me using AI and using the capacity to understand what I've done in the past. Is that how it, in a way, works?
Yes, it's a profile. So that's actually the next step where we're taking Gateway Stream to. Was all these years we're actually just building the base where we get to collect all the information of our users or guests. How do they interact? What do they like? So the whole idea is to improve the service for you. It's just like even in health, even in you're actually going to see that your fitness tracker already. If you're a fitness tracker, it actually knows your habits. And sometimes when your heart races a lot, you can actually get a notification that you've elevated.
Now, I want you mentioned something called upskilling. I suppose me being very simple and basic, as Andy is, will people lose their jobs because of this? I mean, I know you're talking upskilling, but you know what? Not all of us can upskill. So let's assume that where will they lose their jobs? And the line drawn between what individuals can do and what AI can do. And because now it becomes really blurry. I mean, am I going to be permanently retired and you don't need Andy on the mint every day? It's a worry, right?
Yeah, it is. It is a worry. And I think, most of these things, let's not look at them as if things that can happen in future. They already are happening. So I'll give an example of Tesla. Their manufacturing factory, I think it's about over 60.
They call it the gigafactory.
Exactly, yeah. It's robots that are actually putting together those machines, the less human intervention. And those robots are taught by humans to actually how to weld, all those kind of joints. But then after that, the robot is working 24 hours. It doesn't need to go
doesn't need to go to sleep. Doesn't need food.
Doesn't need to celebrate Valentine's.
Doesn't need, you're right.
Exactly.
Doesn't need to give Valentine's presents.
Exactly. It's always working. So what it means is there are going to be certain sectors where it's actually more beneficial to actually have machines and AI do those jobs, either because they're repetitive, they're dangerous, or also because there's better productivity from a machine.
Cheaper, isn't it? I mean,
it's also going to be cheaper for companies. It's going to be cheaper, but that's the reality.
So is your answer yes? Jobs have been lost and jobs will be lost. Is that a basic answer? And you talked about upskilling. I think that's the other side.
Yes, jobs will be lost and some jobs will be redefined to actually, because those machines, I think one of my first jobs, I used to work, sell computers for schools. So every time we'd go to schools and tell them about software that helps to educate the kids, they would always think that thing would replace them, like with this touch screen, fancy board. And the uptake was so bad from the teachers. The attitude was bad because they thought it would replace them.
No need to be a teacher.
But
it doesn't work
there are certain industries where you actually need a human element. So you're talking about healthcare. The technology is only going to help you be more efficient, but it can't completely replace you.
I can't imagine being in hospital and a robot is telling me, yeah, you're ill, take it. I mean, I want a guy, I want a doctor to come and tell me, yeah, you're going to be okay. Now, AI is here. You're already using it. Your company is using it. Gateway Stream already. Lots of companies. Facebook are using it. Google are using it. I mean, we could go on and on and on. How best can Zimbabwe and Africa prepare for this? How best can businesses that haven't really got into this AI yet, how best can they innovate and really make it successful in their own business?
So I read a report sometime last week which was saying that if Africa takes full advantage of AI, it will grow its GDP by 1 trillion. Just based on AI, the benefits of AI by 2030, that is. So there is great potential, in how companies can, in fact, how Africa can take advantage of it. It could help us to deal with some of the challenges that we have in terms of sort of like agriculture-wise, helping it to actually have the best growth models for plants, where would the best time to plant, because, seasons are changing, so AI can actually tell you that this is the best time to plant, this is how you plant it, you need to water it at this time, so it helps you to actually have a better product. So in food production, even in health, in education as well, Africa has got a lot of infrastructure gaps. Technology can help bridge those, and AI can actually give you impetus into that. So it would help us to leapfrog some of the advancements that have happened in the Western world, but it's an issue of understanding where our challenges are and actually applying it correctly.
No, we're going to do it right. I mean, we can't just throw AI at everything and hope. So I suppose, so let me ask you a straight question. AI, good or bad? Are we not going to get a Terminator Skynet one day where we're all slaves to these robots who are now intelligent?
That's a hard question, and it's a gray area. There's a company called Boston Dynamic. They've got this robot they call Atlas. If you watch the thing, I've followed Atlas for the past 10 years, and the way it's able to move and maneuver, the thing with technology is something will go wrong at some point. Like I've worked in technology so many times, from a projector to even our application, at some point it's going to get a glitch. And you never know what that glitch is going to do. So there's always that possibility. I'm not meaning to scare people, but also just look at the other side.
I don't know. Yeah,
so I don't know what to say.
So good and bad.
Yes, good and bad. Just like the internet itself. Like you've got good stuff on the internet and
really bad stuff on the internet. Ishe Makambira, the Gateway Stream Technical Services Manager. Thank you for coming on the Mint. Very interesting discussion.
It is.
Now, I will also add that ChatGPT is not yet available in Zimbabwe. So you may go and try and log onto the website. If you're from Zimbabwe and they know you're from Zimbabwe, your IP address is from Zimbabwe, sorry, you won't be able to access it. Now, time to take a breather after the break. What is going on between Star Africa Corporation, or Gold Star Sugar, and their suppliers? Will there be a sugar shortage in Zimbabwe because of this? And South Africa's largest rhino farm puts itself up for sale. And how about this story? The Democratic Republic of Congo is to start new exploration for green metals. Don't go away, The Mint. We'll be right back.
We're gonna have you at the edge of your couch, so get ready for some intense drama. pavakatsvakasvika paiva kati zvauri musoro wemunhu.
Musoro wakanga wakavhiyiwa usina kana skin, rurimi pasina.
Feel the adrenaline rush with some top-notch action.
Akanaka akarara. Kumuyeva akatitasa apa akarara kunaka ndamara. Marara zvawo mukadzi.
All this and more wrapped in a bright orange ribbon from our family to yours.
Puss. Puss. Welcome back to The Mint. This is ZTN Prime, coming to you from Harare, Zimbabwe. Now, Gold Star Sugar's Harare refinery, a subsidiary of Star Africa, with effect from Monday the 13th of February, have temporarily closed its Harare refinery operations due to a price hike of raw sugar by suppliers. In the statement released yesterday, the company's commercial executive, Riverside Guenamo, says this development is making it difficult for the company to produce and sell refined sugar at a competitive and viable price. He further says the trading environment for the product has been challenging. Gold Star Sugars is engaging the supplier and looking forward to finding an amicable solution to enable them to resume operations. Now, where does this leave consumers? Now, Gold Star is one of the popular manufacturers of sugar finished products, and of course we wondered, could this lead to a sugar shortage on shelves in Zimbabwe, considering that the industry is monopolistic? Now, Denford Mutashu, president of the Retailers Association of Zimbabwe, thinks not. In fact, he allayed our fears. He said emphatically no, but the price may likely go up and spill over to consumers.
I believe, Star Africa does bulk sugar that is primarily for the manufacturing sector. We're speaking of cordial manufacturers, etc. So basically, if indeed it's true that they have stopped production, it may have consequences of affecting the downstream, supply chain, especially from the production side of products that depend on sugar rather as a raw material, and consequently the prices on the market of those products. It may actually create shortages, but we of course remain hopeful that the challenge is going to be resolved, owing to the fact that in our conversation with Zimbabwe Sugar Sales, they have indicated that they've got sufficient supply that can cover the country for this year and even into 2024. So we believe the issue of pricing is something that they can actually be able to resolve between the two of them.
Interesting comments there from Denford Mutashu, the president of the Zimbabwe Retailers Association. I'm now joined by the Mint's Eben Mabunda to try and unpack this more. Eben, how much refined sugar does Star Africa's Gold Star Sugar actually produce? And what does this raw sugar price hike mean for the Zimbabwean sugar market? I suppose the question is, will this mean a price hike at supermarkets?
Good afternoon, and thank you very much, Andy. Quite a worrying development for Zimbabwe, in the sense that this is one of the major sugar producers in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe in 2022 produced about 160,000 metric tons of the cane, with sales of about 212,000 tons of sugar that are distributed not just in Zimbabwe but also in other export markets, of course within the Southern African region. Now, it will be interesting to understand that Star Africa is responsible for about 45% of the national output, in as far as both cane sugar is concerned, as well as, of course, where sugar is actually concerned. The other major producer there actually being Tonga's Hewlett's Hippo Valley Estates, where also you find Triangle and that whole establishment in that particular region of the country. So what this means for the country is, of course, the crisis has now translated to some knee-jerk reactions from the market. And of course, with the team, we took quite a quick tour around the streets of Zimbabwe's capital, Harare, to get the heartbeat of what is actually taking place. And from our observation, we noted that there has actually been an increase in terms of the prices of sugar by at least 20% on the streets of Harare, and of course in the retail outlets spread across the city. Now this could actually indicate perhaps further increases till perhaps the market gets an indication of when it is that this crisis could or would actually be resolved between Star Africa as well as, of course, some of its suppliers, and how that would have a trickle-down effect in as far as the rest of the market is actually concerned. It is also interesting to note that this is the manifestation of companies buckling under inflationary pressures, bearing in mind that in 2022 we saw inflation peaking to about 285%, and of course inflation closed the year at 244%. This January inflation opened of course at about 230%, and now Central Bank has given an indication that we will now be seeing the release of what they refer to as blended inflation statistics.
Now, obviously closing down your main refinery in any country, that's a serious decision to make. What impact will this have on Gold Star Sugar's operations?
Andy, I would give perhaps some tidbits from the financials of Star Africa, where it is that they released them in December for the 6-month period to September 30. They posted an inflation-adjusted loss of about 133 million Zimbabwean dollars from an inflation-adjusted profit in the comparative period of the previous year. This, of course, an indication of the inflationary pressures and how perhaps some corporates are struggling to actually cope with the inflation in the country. So obviously this then speaks to the working capital position of the business. This speaks to the relationship between Star Africa has and some of its suppliers, and of course the relationship that Star Africa has, of course, with its clientele spread across the country. Of note is the fact that Star Africa also has some subsidiary in Botswana, and South Africa has also been exporting sugar across the region. In terms of the impact that this would have to the national exports, of course, we are not that much of big exporters of the product. There has been some growth where the exportation of the product is actually concerned. So this would be a negative in as far as the export trajectory of the particular commodity from Zimbabwe to the countries that are spread across the region.
Ishe Makambira, the Mint correspondent, thank you very much. Okay, so sugar price hikes are here, but at least no shortages are likely for now. Now, the owner of a huge South African rhino conservation farm, the world's largest, said it will be sold at auction in April because it can no longer afford to breed the endangered animals. Platinum Rhino, home to nearly 2,000 southern white rhinos spread across 8,500 hectares in the country's northwest province, said it is the largest of its kind in the world, with a subspecies of white rhino now considered endangered. Imagine this, only 20,000 individual rhinos are remaining. That's according to World Wildlife Fund, WWF. John Hume, Platinum's 81-year-old founder, told AFP that breeding rhinos is an expensive game, and he has been breeding rhinos for 30 years without profit. If I could make a comment here, I don't understand a world whereby we can destroy or kill such a beautiful animal like the rhino. I mean, can you imagine that tourists come from far and wide, money comes into all the economies for people to come and watch the rhino, to see the rhino in its natural habitat, and what are we killing it for? We're killing it for its horn, which some people believe has some form of medicinal properties or cancer properties, all proven to be fake. There's something sad about this whole story, and I think it will be important to try and keep this rhino conservatory open. Now then, moving over to the Congo, the Democratic Republic of Congo is on track to become the world's leading supplier of metals for the green energy transition, which means that new exploration for metals such as nickel and chrome will begin. That's according to Al Mayadeen English. Now, according to DRC President Felix Tshisekedi on the sidelines of Investing Africa Mining Indaba Conference in Cape Town, South Africa, exploration of these two minerals will begin in the next few days in the Kasai region in the country's south. Tshisekedi highlighted that the DRC is inviting new partners to join exploration and invest in cobalt, tantalum, tin and lithium processing. He added that the goal for the Congo was to discover new deposits that can be the subject of calls for bids with a view to concluding mutually profitable public-private partnerships. Now, I like the story. However, there is one word of caution. Every other mining resource in the Congo, unfortunately, over the many, many years, has really not been used for the benefit of the people, unfortunately. And I think that this is great by the president to open up this bidding and to find new things. Manage your resources properly. If you manage them properly, obviously, there's a huge benefit to the individual people and citizens of your country. But we fully support the Congo in their mining activities. And hopefully some Zimbabwean companies may get involved with the government of Congo and see what they can do with their expertise in that country. Now then, let's take a daily look now at market prices. Right, that's it for today's episode of The Mint. I, of course, will see you tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. live on ZTN Prime, and that's for Morning Rush, the only show that you should wake up to. I'm Andy Hodges. Goodbye, and please, you all be safe.